Since most of us in the FI community are big into life optimization, being funnier and more whimsical is a great way to slow down, be more present, and mindful in the current moment. And so I think that's why we need it in the FI world for balance. Thank you, guys. Hi, everyone. Roxanne, aka FINANCEROX. Today I'm going to be sharing how to make your life whimsical AF and funny, obviously. Let's start with a definition. Whimsical. Playfully quaint or fanciful, especially in an appealing or amusing way. Think about humorous, quirky, unusual. A character that you guys would probably know would be Michael Scott from The Office as a good whimsical example. Today we're going to go over 3 things. How to increase your creativity, how to invite more serendipity into your lives, and how to increase the humor with joke writing basics, and more specifically, and I think you all can relate, what to do if you like spreadsheets more than people. During an interview, Jerry Seinfeld said, "Creative people spend an inappropriate amount of time on an undeserving subject." His example was spending hours writing jokes about Pop-Tarts. Since most of us in the FI community are big into life optimization, being funnier and more whimsical is a great way to slow down, be more present, and mindful in the current moment. And so I think that's why we need it in the FI world for balance. The benefits of being more whimsical would be present and mindful. Humor is known to reduce stress and anxiety. It's good for our health, which we all know is good for our money, and we all care about that. It improves our mood. And bonus tip, I love to do joke writing in the morning. I feel like it's a great way to prime your mind for more joy throughout the day. Number 4, social connection. Joke telling is a social sport. I did not realize this when I started taking online courses and doing stand-up. I didn't expect how much it would connect me to my friends and family. I'll just randomly send them jokes that I wouldn't have otherwise reached out to them at all. So they get a laugh and they help me weed out the bad ones. Number 5, research shows that we are more likely to remember things that are funny. So I wanted to mention this since a lot of us in FI, we transition into helping others. And so just wanted to mention that humor is really helpful for teaching. It's 100% free. I thought you guys might like that. Everything I'm going to share today is totally free to do. I should probably pause to let you all calm down since I know that's very exciting for us. And and number 7, lastly, it'll help make our lives more well-rounded, like your mama. Oh, grown. Okay, so who am I and how did I get to be so damn whimsical? Probably not during accounting school. I'll just say that up front. On kind of a serious note, after and during FI, we have such an opportunity to embrace our inner child and to show up for them in the ways that we wanted. My childhood was pretty stressful, helping raise my 3 little brothers and going to school, working hard to try and make sure that I didn't experience the same financial stress that my parents did. So I always had the desire to be more joyful and to spread joy to others. Now I get to spend my energy making people laugh, making my life whimsical, and the lives of the people that I love. So I'm really grateful for that. On a less serious note, in high school I was voted the most likely to write Hallmark cards. So very whimsical, I think a compliment. Still not entirely sure. And number 3, my Google Doc with my jokes is now 83 pages long. So I've gotten some practice in. Okay, whimsical shit I've done since becoming Lean 5 years ago. Stand-up comedy courses I did online, online, and in person. Both of those, not at the same time. Have done more than 25 open mics, 2 years as a digital nomad around the US. Ate 100 donuts that year, one of the years, and shaved my head, which was a real adventure. So let's talk about creativity. Creativity is required for joke writing and whimsy in general. Don't be intimidated by the word original. When we think about creativity, we're like, oh, we need to come up with an original idea. It basically just means combining 2 or more existing ideas. There's even a book called Steal Like an Artist, based on the theory that no idea is truly original. And if it was, our brains really wouldn't be able to even, understand it. We have to be able to relate a thing to other things to make sense of them. So don't plagiarize. That's not what I'm saying. It just has to not be a word-for-word copy, and credit sources whenever possible. However, don't steal my jokes. That's the one exception. So here's an example for creativity. Hunger Games, we'd probably all agree that's a pretty unique idea. The author, Suzanne Collins, said that she came up with it. She was flipping through the channels between reality TV and the Iraq War. And so I included one Venn diagram, check. Combining 2 dissimilar things. Another way to increase creativity is through self-expression, getting in touch with what makes you unique. So whether that's joke writing or self-expression through appearance. So the prompt I have for you is my look an accurate reflection of who I am on the inside? Early on in my money journey, I was broke. I realized that, clothes and look is definitely not a necessity. So in the name of frugality, I was like t-shirt and jeans all the time, didn't spend any money there. And nothing is wrong with that. Certainly there's benefits to not prioritizing other things. This is probably obvious, but for me, in my late 30s, realizing, how I dress and how I look it's like an opportunity to create a kind of art. Okay, the next idea, increasing creativity through setting creative goals. So example, one of my goals is to write the dirtiest accounting joke of all time. I may have already done it, but I'm not going to share it with you guys. I don't know you all well enough yet. Maybe next year. Okay, write and complete seasonal bucket lists. Every summer I want to have ... a Dairy Queen blizzard, go swimming once, dip your body in nature, whatever people do outside. And then I wanted to recommend Weekly Artist Dates and the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. She recommends doing 2 things, morning pages, so 3 pages of just flow of consciousness writing each morning, and then plus weekly artist dates, where you go out into the world by yourself to recharge your creative battery. So this might be going to a coffee shop, art gallery, library, something where you can go by yourself and something that will inspire you. Okay, second one, we're going to talk about how to add more whimsy by inviting more serendipity into our lives. So the definition of serendipity, the occurrence and development of events by chance in a happy or beneficial way. But Rox, how are we supposed to create serendipity when the definition of it is that it happens by chance? Great question. That is correct, but you do have control over 2 things. The first, the number of things that could provide serendipity that we are looking for. So each goal that you set becomes an opportunity to find that item as we go throughout our days. And just like with a gratitude practice, the benefit is for looking for whimsy and fun. It's like keeping it at the top of mind awareness. And number 2, the amount of time each day we spend observing the world. So how much are you looking? How much time do you spend observing the world? And how much is heads down, blinders on, getting stuff done kind of thing? In a minute, I'll share some photos. But one of the main ways that I do this is a daily photo challenge. It started when I was doing art journaling. And I was like, oh, every day I want to have some kind of photo to include in my art journal. And I realized that what a good exercise that is, because it really encouraged me to find something interesting in my life throughout the day and really notice those things more. And that's been really helpful in slowing down and observing the weirdness of the world as well. To set serendipitous goals, you need 2 things, a trigger and an action. So for example, trigger, when I hear man in the box, action, I'll jam out hard no matter where I am. So if you're in the grocery store, for example, you can sing or dance, whatever you want. Okay, another example. I once watched a YouTube video of travel influencers, and the guy goes, "Oh, look, a red robin." And they flip the camera around, and it was a cardinal. And apparently I'm old enough to know the difference. I don't like birds even, but apparently, like, the older you get, the world just forces you to know bird types. So I'm sad I know so many different types of birds. What I do is the trigger when I see a cardinal, I take a photo from my art journal and I say, "Oh, look, a red robin." And this one was actually at the farmer's market the other day, and I said it out loud to my friend. And the guy running the booth gave me a very strange look. And so now it brings me so much joy thinking he maybe went to tell other people, like, this girl, like, she didn't know what a cardinal was. So now I get to spread the thing that I found funny. When I see a cantaloupe, I flip it off. I don't like cantaloupes, so it just brings me joy to do. Here's one that I share with my coaching clients. So the trigger is seeing or hearing someone say YOLO, and the action would be sending $100 to my savings account. So just an example of very specific little habits and actions. Okay, the daily photo challenge. The other thing about this is sometimes I'll go on a walk just to make sure that I have something of note for the day. Often it's like a sunset or a landscape, flora, fauna, food, or art. Sometimes it's something funny, like Band-Aids on a car dent. Donuts, namely this key lime donut, which was incredible. This was one of the best days of my life. This is 5 raccoons crawling out of a storm drain. There was a 5th one, but he came up later. But it does not have to be anything extravagant or 5 raccoons related. Here was just one of the days I had a delicious orange, and there's the proof. Another one, I can drink as much free soda as I want. I was thrilled and frightened yesterday at how much free soda is here. But the rule is that I can't buy soda, but whenever I come across it in the wild, I can have it. Okay, let's talk about goal conflict, because I just talked about having as much soda as I wanted. So how do we not let our serendipitous goals get out of hand? So when setting fun goals, you can scale it up and down. So you want to occasionally reflect and then adjust it if you need to. So I like to ask, is the action happening too frequently? If so, you can make it more specific. So instead of free soda, I can have a free Dr. Pepper anytime I come across one. And if it's not happening frequently enough, you can zoom out and make it less specific, more general, like flipping off every non-watermelon melon. So including honeydews, which are also disgusting. Okay, stop and look around more. Here's my tornado tree. A little hard to see, but the bark is like swirly, twisty. I love it. So just stop to look around more. You might find a well-placed pecker. Or a poorly placed pecker, depending on what you're into. It's a woodpecker. Okay, that's a little hard to see. Be funnier. Okay, this is a good one. The third and final section, humor, theory, and joke writing. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
That was a setup.
That was a setup.
No, that was a setup. Okay, there's 2 parts to every joke, the setup and the punchline. You know who else is a punchline? Yo mama. Okay. Maybe I like those more than you guys. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, so humor is a complicated and subjective topic. There's many different theories of humor. Here are 2 of the main ones, relief theory and incongruity theory. Shout out to Wikipedia, which I don't think that my high school English teacher would approve of how I cited that. Okay, the first one, relief theory, suggests that humor is a mechanism for releasing pent-up emotions or tension. Laughter and joy, according to relief theory, result from the release of excess nervous energy in our bodies, which would be great right now. Okay, build. You can you can build and then release tension. So this is kind of like storytelling where you're on the hero's journey. Obstacles have to happen in order for them to overcome those obstacles. There is an example from Kristen Shaw, the comedian, who is actually from the Boulder, Longmont area. She did a joke in Canada. I have been nervous since I got here because I don't have my gun. How do you survive without your gun, Canada? I mean, how do you open cans? So guns are controversial, bringing them up in general. There's inherent tension there. And then the audience is relieved when she says, oh, how do you open cans? So that's an example for you there. The second one, incongruity theory. This is also called incongruous juxtaposition theory. I really set myself up for failure with reading that. Suggests that humor and laughter rely on incongruity, which denotes anything contrary to the expectation to the norm. So the type of humor most often described by this is a play on words, which includes like double entendre and puns. The next one is observational comedy. So observing daily life and pointing out things that have become subconscious to most of us. So there's a great Mitch Hedberg joke. He says, an escalator can never break. It can only become stairs. You should never see an escalator temporarily out of order sign, just escalator temporarily stairs. Sorry for the convenience. Okay, 2 rules of thumb for joke writing. The first one, be honest. The funniest jokes are real and honest. And in fact, the biggest laughs that I've ever gotten have all been things when I wasn't trying to be funny. And it's a shame because I can't even recall what they are because it's like emotional, like a little bit of embarrassment because I wasn't trying to be funny. So then like once I finally calm down, I can't recall what it was to write it down. So you'll just have to take my word that I am very funny. I discovered by accident that my positive self-talk gets a laugh. Like yesterday when we were doing intros, I said something like, I'm wonderful. I didn't plan to say that, just kind of came out. I think as long as you're not actually conceited, because no one likes a conceited person, but you can call out your own positive characteristics in a playful way. Number 2, funniest word last. Another Mitch Hedberg joke, I love him. This shirt is dry clean only, which means it's dirty. I find that very relatable. So dirty is the surprise word there. It comes right at the very end. That's like when the audience is going to laugh. So think about when you want them to laugh and then put that the surprise word right before that. And then number 3, be interesting. There's a quote from Harold Ross that says, if you can't be funny, be interesting. I find this particularly helpful during writing, like in private. You can just use the prompt, is this interesting? So I'm going to share my 2 favorite joke writing techniques, dueling mind maps, and the who, what, when, where, why, how surprise. So dueling mind maps. Show of hands, who knows what a mind map is? Okay, most of us, good. I do have a picture of one. For dueling mind maps, what you're going to do is you're going to compare 2 dissimilar ideas, or you're going to look for the differences between 2 similar ideas and finding the connections for what, they do or don't have in common. I should say up front, this is not my joke. I couldn't find the comedian to shout them out. But here's an example of 2 mind maps, one about cats on the left and one about strippers on the right, and then the thing that they share in common. Now, if you can't read that, it says, can sit on their lap, but can't touch them. So you might say, oh, what do cats and strippers have in common? They can sit on your lap, but you can't touch them. So instead of doing it mind map style, where you're doing the bubbles and connecting ideas that way, you can do this as listing, and sometimes it's actually called the listing technique. So you would have one list on one sheet of paper of cats, everything cats related, person, places, and things that come to mind for cats, and then one list for strippers, everything that comes to mind. I'm sure there's plenty. And then you would just kind of compare those 2 sheets up and down. If you do mind maps, you can like circle them around and compare the different ideas. I like mind maps better because it stays a little more organized. So like we have cats and then paws up top, and then maybe after paws you have claws. So it kind of just keeps it a little more organized. But in any case, you want to find the overlap between the two and then kind of play with the wording to get the joke out of it. The second exercise that I like to do for joke writing, I'm so excited to share this with you guys. You're already so funny. I know you're just going to take this and run with it, so I'm really excited for it. So the who, what, when, where, why, how surprise. Start by writing a story or an expression, and then look at, for each word in the sentence, if there are alternate meanings that you could surprise people with. So let's do an example. They say, shake what your mama gave you, but for the last 30 years I've been trying to shake my financial trauma. I just can't seem to shake it. Okay, don't be too depressing. That's one of the other points, but that's a what surprise. So the what of the sentence is getting a surprise twist. When people say, shake what your mama gave you, what do they usually mean? Your booty. Good. Okay, you guys know it. But another thing that you can or can't shake, trauma. P.S. The Kristen Schaal joke that I did earlier about guns is a how surprise. So it was how she uses a gun to open cans instead of how most people use a gun to shoot people or things, live things. Okay, anyway, you get it. Okay, let's do some general joke writing tips. So these are like prompts that you can go through once you have a joke or a sentence and you're trying to like make sure it's funny. So the first one, double entendre check. Are any of these words dirty? Like have an alternative meaning that could be a little bit dirtier. Rule of threes. In the bio that I gave to Stephen for this event, I said, I'm a comedian, accountant, and comedian. So just a very simple little joke there. But, you know, people, when they're listing in their bio, they usually say like 3 different things. And so like the twist on that is like, oh, I said the same one twice. It's very commonly used, this technique of like 2 serious things and then a funny surprise. And it's based in like pattern recognition because it takes 2 things to create the pattern and then you're able to break the pattern with the 3rd item. Okay, the next one, contrarian, another one I think you guys will be good at. Either double down or play the opposite game. So double down on what the person you're talking to said or the thing. So like I saw this door there that said danger stairway. Aren't all stairs danger stairways? Or you could say, well, all stairs are danger stairways if you're clumsy enough. That's a good one for me. Let's see. Or you can play the opposite game. Like, what is the opposite counterpoint to what they are saying or to what society believes? So just a prompt when you're like engaging with people to be more funny in the moment. Another tip is to change perspective. There is a Jim Gaffigan joke. If camping was so great, why are bugs always trying to get inside my house? So we're thinking about then the bug and what their motivation is. All right, what's funny for me to say? So this takes some trial and error, but you're going to want to observe your place in the world and try and find the things that people will laugh at if you say them. Because, you know, jokes aren't universally funny depending on, you know, it depends on who's saying them. Me, for example, I can really play on my innocence. I look kind of innocent, but inside I'm filthy. And so I like to start very innocent and then become increasingly dirty and inappropriate. So that's fun for me. Another good prompt, is there enough tension? So this goes back to the theory before of like the release of tension. How can I create more tension? One of the things I had to learn early on was that a lot of my jokes were just kind of cute, is what my brother said. So that was good feedback that I got. So yeah, tension and cuteness can be opposing sides of things. So you might find you have too much tension and you make people uncomfortable, or you don't have enough tension and things are kind of just cutesy and not really like a good laugh. The next one, can I exaggerate this more? Can I go farther with it? Can I make it more ridiculous? Can I run with it? Okay, can I relate this to a previous punchline? If you guys know Hot Pocket, Jim Gaffigan? Okay, so this is called a callback. So if you say something that's funny and gets a laugh, like hammer it and go back to it, like milk it. I mean, you can't milk a Hot Pocket.
Well, can you?
Well, Jim Gaffigan kind of does, so milk it if you can. Okay, You guys might be nervous about getting canceled, how not to get canceled. One common theory in the world of comedy is thinking about punching down and punching up. Punching down would be like making fun of people that are worse off than you. So generally it comes across as mean, even if it is funny and true. Better to punch up or not punch at all, do other kinds of jokes. Don't double down. If you get called out for being inappropriate, racist, sexist, that kind of thing, the people who usually apologize are usually forgiven. So there's lots of people who are actively comedians, people that have not been canceled. So I would say try and remind yourself that it's really not as scary as it might seem. Okay, fear of judgment and offending people. So I like to say speak from the truth, be honest, and funny in the right way. Just like anything else, it can be done in a good way or done in a disrespectful, hurtful way. And also, if you're telling jokes from a place of honesty and people get offended, are they really just people who can't handle the truth? And do we want someone like that to relate to us and find us funny and agree with us? Maybe not. Well, there we go. Okay, outro. So to be whimsical AF, we talked about increasing your creativity, increasing your serendipity, how to be more playful and humorous. Now, all that requires some level of bravery, since it goes against social norms, like trying jokes out on people, being more whimsical, like doing your own thing can be a little bit weird. Like I've gotten some weird looks on some of my goals that I've set. So you could bomb when telling jokes. It can be uncomfortable. I've had bombs. Certainly, it is a little bit unpleasant. But don't worry, I'm not going to be corny and end with a Brené Brown quote on bravery. Okay, I want to be in the arena. I want to be brave with my life. And when we make the choice to dare greatly, we sign up to get our asses kicked. Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. Brené Brown. I'm very close to 1,000 YouTube subscribers. So subs and watch time would be greatly appreciated. I'm at FINANCEROX everywhere, no space. Hilarious name, if I may say so. And that's it. Thank you, everybody.